Hello, Matt G for IYT here. Today we're looking at the full license mock examination number 1, version 1.6, and we've reached question 55, which reads, to measure the RF output power of a transmitter, the power meter should be A, connected in parallel with the antenna, B, connected in between the transmitter and its power supply, C, connected as close as possible to the antenna, or D, set to the highest power range to begin with. So if we're measuring power output from a transmitter, we'll typically have our transmitter that would feed into our power meter, what that with a P, and then that would go off to some, matched load, ideally, 50 ohm dummy load, or to an antenna that was a fairly good match, because you want to make sure that your transmitter isn't detecting high SWR and folding back its power. We're certainly not going to connect it in parallel with the antenna. I'm not really sure how we would do that, so we can get rid of that answer. Would we connect the power meter between the transmitter and its power supply? Well, that is a way of, you could sort of guess output power by measuring the current consumption of a transmitter, but if you have access to an actual RF power meter, then you're going to get a more accurate read from putting that power meter in between the transmitter and the antenna, so we can scrub that out. Connected as close as possible to the antenna. That's an interesting one. I would say you want to have it as close as possible to the transmitter, else you also have to factor in coax losses into your power reading. If you have 200 meters of RG58 between your transmitter and your power meter, that's going to have an impact on the power that you read at the meter. So we certainly don't want it to be as close as possible to the antenna, although for a short run of coax, a few meters or so, it's not going to make much of a difference at all, certainly not on HF. Then we've got option D, which is nothing to do with how you connect it to your transmitter at all, but it's about how you make that first measurement. And you want to make sure that your power meter is on its highest power range to begin with. If you have that power meter set to a 1 watt range and go and blast 100 watts into it, it's probably not going to be good for the meter. Best case scenario, it's going to give you some kind of erroneous reading. Worst case scenario, it's going to be pretty fatal for the power meter, maybe even the transmitter as well. So you want to make sure that your power meter, whatever kind of power meter you're using, whatever powers you're measuring, you start with the highest power range and you bring it down if you need to. So let's get down to the answers, see if we got that one right. And of course, for question 55, it is option D, set that power meter to the highest possible range. If you need to measure lower powers, bring it down, but certainly don't blast 100 watts into your power meter on its 1 watt range. Thank you very much. I'll catch you for the next one.